गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः श्रीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं च शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यम् बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवि वचक्षुरा तदम् ॐ ऐं ह्रीं श्रीं क्लीं हसौः जगत्प्रसूर्यै नमः। ॐ श्रीं ह्रीं ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। Can everybody say Hare Ram Krishna with me? Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay. Welcome to the class and welcome to the daylight saving time. I think others are still in the standard time. I was planning to do India and US annual charts for the coming lunar new year. Yeah, but Pope changed the things. So let us look at Pope's chart. Okay, I was going to give it as a surprise, as a puzzle chart, but because you already said puzzle, I'll change the name. You already said the name before I gave the puzzle. So this is Pope John Paul II's chart. Yeah. Okay.
Does the eclipse have any effect
on what?
on major celebrity?
They do, but how to read them is not very obvious. There are some guidelines in classics like Dashamsa and not only eclipses, seeing any comets, this kind of activities, apart from planets, other activities do have an impact on celebrities and what happens to countries, societies. But I'm not really an expert in that. But we will do some eclipse charts later. What you can do is, you can make the chart at the time of eclipse for the capital, just like you do lunar new year charts, solar new year charts, and then based on those charts you can see some important events that may be triggered by the eclipses. But one thing that is interesting is, I was looking at the last few popes in the last century. I was looking at when they passed away, when the transition from one pope to another pope occurred, and it occurred within a month from successive solar and lunar eclipses, especially caused by Rahu and Ketu in dual signs, and five times in the last century. It happened when Rahu and Ketu were on Virgo Pisces axis, causing eclipse. So Rahu in Pisces or Ketu in Pisces, causing two eclipses. Same thing, yeah, exactly. This happened 4 times earlier. 4 other popes passed away in similar situations. So there may be not only the eclipse chart. I said that you can make the eclipse chart and see important events, but there may be something in the chart of this institution itself. For example, the papal institution itself. There may be something special with Pisces and Virgo. There can be so many things. If you see, for example, eclipse occurring in the, let's say this time eclipse is occurring in the Revati constellation. So if you see a big world leader who was born in Revati constellation, or who has, let's say, his Lagna or Lagna Lord in Revati constellation, or moon in Revati constellation, or sun in Revati constellation, some important events may occur to that particular world leader. So like that, you can look at the chart of the individual or the country or the entity that you want to make predictions on, and see the relationship between their chart and the positioning of Rahu, Ketu and luminaries at the time of the eclipse. And you can also make a chart like lunar new year chart for the beginning of the eclipse. We'll do.
Somewhere I read that if the solar eclipse causes the leaders or the prominent spiritual leaders and stuff, and the lunar eclipses cause natural disasters. So I guess, is there any difference?
I'm not really. The logic would be Sun is the karka, significator for powerful people. That must be the reason for that. But the thing is, whether the eclipse is caused to Sun or Moon, both are afflicted.
Right.
Both are always on the axis. So if Moon is being afflicted by Rahu or Ketu, so is Sun at the time of new Moon or full Moon. So
yeah, that theory doesn't, but I heard about it. But if you look at the experience, is that PLO leader died when the lunar eclipse was close by, as an artifact. I mean, I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's spiritual or not spiritual, that's not questioning, but well-known figure,
Yeah. I'm not really 100% sure of the classification between lunar and solar, but bottom line is when eclipses happen, especially if they happen on important constellations and important signs in a person's chart, some important events can happen to that person. That's basically what we can say. And it's also interesting, like I said, that consecutive eclipses within 2 weeks, one solar and one lunar, in any order. When Rahu and Ketu are in Virgo Pisces axis, seem to cause some changes in the. It happens every 9 years. Not necessarily. It can happen every 9 years, but it's not necessary that there is a change in Pope every 9 years. But the thing is, the few changes that happened in the last 190 years, out of those cases when Pope changed, 80% of the times this particular condition was satisfied. So that is interesting. It is basically statistically significant. Now let us go to Pope John Paul II's chart. Whether you are a Catholic or not, whether you believe in his spiritual authority or not, the bottom line is he is the most powerful, he is the most well-known and powerful spiritual leader. A big percentage of the world considers him as a spiritual leader, and he led. When he had that power, he used that power with magnanimity and with a lot of wisdom. So let us see what is it in his chart that made him such a towering personality and a great spiritual person. The birth data is May 18, 1920, 5:30 p.m. The time zone is 2 hours east of GMT. The longitude and latitude are 19 degrees 30 minutes east, 49 degrees 53 minutes north. Okay, so this is the chart of the Pope, of the deceased Pope. Now, let us start looking at the chart. First, let's look at the Rashi chart, because Rashi is your physical existence and that's the basis of your entire existence. If you look at the Rashi chart, Lagna, what are the influences on Lagna and Lagna Lord? First, let's look at Lagna and Lagna Lord. Then let's look at Aruha Lagna. What are the influences on Lagna? Lagna has Rahu in it, but Rahu and Lagna are quite apart. And Lagna Lord Venus is in the 7th house. Lagna Lord is in the 7th house of desire. And does he have any yogas? Is Venus taking part in any yoga? Venus and Mercury. Venus is at 22 degrees 6 minutes. Mercury is at 25 degrees 48 minutes. So they are within like 3.5 degrees, less than 4 degrees apart. Does it mean that they are close? They are pretty close. That is very close. Less than 6 degrees apart. That means they are close. So Mercury and Venus, they are together. They are very close. And is there a Raj Yoga?
1 and 9.
Pardon me? Yeah, 1 and 9. The first Lord Venus and the 9th Lord Mercury are together in a Kendra and aspecting Lagna. Both of them are actually aspecting Lagna. So, does it mean that, what does it mean? Lagna is your existence, your intelligence. Lagna Lord shows your intelligence. And 9th Lord shows your sense of dharma. So, there is a confluence between them. This is also known as Lakshmi Yoga. This particular Raj Yoga, Lagna Lord and 9th Lord together, is called Lakshmi Yoga. Basically, it makes a person very dharmic, very intelligent and very dharmic. The interesting thing is, Mercury is close to Venus, but do you see somebody else who is closer? Ketu. Ketu is at 22 degrees 17 minutes. Venus is at 22 degrees 6 minutes. They are, pardon me?
You have to subtract 13 now.
No. That is for the purpose of finding Karakas. To see the advancement, to see who is more advanced, who's a more important Karaka, Charakaraka. For that you subtract 30. But when you are seeing how close two planets are, whether they are very close, far apart, you see the physical location. You don't see count from 30, from the end of the sign. So Ketu is at 22 degrees 17 minutes. And Venus is at 22 degrees 6 minutes. So they are apart by 11 arc minutes, which is less than quarter of a degree. So that's extremely close conjunction. So Venus and Ketu have a very close conjunction. Lagna Lord Venus is conjoining Ketu, and you can see that, look at Shani, Saturn, yes, Tapasvi Yoga, especially if Saturn is also in a trine. Venus, Ketu and Saturn, all the three either being together or being in mutual konas, mutual trines, constitutes Tapasvi Yoga. Yeah. So he has this Tapasvi Yoga. Venus and Ketu are extremely closely conjoined, and Saturn is in a trine from him. Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati, the last pontiff at the Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham, also had very similar combination. He also had Tapasvi Yoga, very strong Tapasvi Yoga, and here also you see the Tapasvi Yoga. So what is the result of the Tapasvi Yoga? Normally Tapasvi Yoga makes a person very saintly, more than saintly, somebody who works hard, somebody who's a workaholic. So he has certain things that he wants to understand, and he works hard to understand those things. And also, he's like a tapasvi basically. He's like a rishi engaging in tapasya. Selfless service. More than service. Service is not exactly the right word I am looking for. The word I am looking for is austere pursuit of something. It could be anything. It could be science. It could be religion. But some kind of selfless, austere pursuit of something in life. That is what Tapasvi Yoga gives. You ignore all your material comforts. You ignore all your physical happiness and comfort. And you are dedicated to a particular cause, particular goal. And you have a lot of austerity, lot of dedication and selflessness, and you are pursuing that particular goal. That is what Tapasvi Yoga makes you do. In the case of Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati, that Tapasvi Yoga was given by Venus and Ketu in 8th house, in Moksha Trikona. And here, this is caused by planets in Kama Trikona. These planets are not in Moksha Trikona, unlike in the case of Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati. So here, Kama Trikonas are attachment basically. They show your attachment, they show your desires. So whatever tapasya he does, whatever selfless, austere and disciplined pursuit that he engages in, there is some desire also behind it. It may not be selfish desire, but it's not really, it's not like he has overcome the desire. There is a certain desire in what he is doing. So that is the big difference between Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati and him. And another big difference is Atmakaraka is involved in the case of Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati. And here Atmakaraka is not involved. But you can see, if you look closely, you will see that Mercury and Mars have a parivartana. There is an exchange between Mercury and Mars. So, Mercury acts as if he is Mars. And you will see that Mars is Atmakaraka. So even though the Tapasvi Yoga does not involve Atmakaraka, there is an Atmakaraka influence on Venus and Ketu. They are in Atmakaraka's house, and Mercury there acts as if he was Atmakaraka Mars. One thing you should remember is, when you see Tapasvi Yoga in somebody's chart, if you see the planets involved, one of the planets involved being Atmakaraka, or Atmakaraka involving with those planets, Venus, Ketu and Saturn, or at least in the worst case, Atmakaraka aspecting them, aspecting Venus, Ketu and Saturn. If you see that, then that is good. Then what it shows is, whatever tapasya this person is doing, the soul is involved in it. So it is something that comes from a past life. And this is something that comes as This tapasya is something that comes from the desire of the soul from several lives, several past lives. So Atmakarka's involvement is very important. Now, let us look at what is the, first we know that this person is some kind of tapasvi. We know that because Venus, Lagna Lord, is so closely conjoined with Ketu, the planet of spirituality, there is a good chance that this person is a spiritual person, apart from the fact that Lagna and 9th Lord are together. Usually, such people are very dharmic people. So, he is a very dharmic and spiritual person. What is the image he has in the world? How does the world perceive him? So, what should you look at for that? Arudha Lagna, that shows the image, the status of the person in the world. Arudha Lagna is in Cancer, a sattvic Brahminical sign. And Jupiter, exalted Jupiter is in it. So what is his image in the world? Is he perceived as a king or as a learned, wise man? A pious, wise, learned, humble man. In the words of George Bush, he was a humble, wise and fearless priest. That is how George Bush described him. And that is the image you get. Looking at Jupiter in Arudha Lagna, but at the same time Mars is in the 3rd from Arudha Lagna. So he is not perceived as a sadhu who just lags. He is perceived as somebody who is very bold, very brave, very fearless. He is seen by people as somebody who is brave, who is willing to fight a war. Now, I am not talking about Iraq war or any other war like that, but what I am talking about is, if he believes in a cause, he can take issue with the whole world and speak out what he believes in and fight for that particular cause. So, Mars in the 3rd from Arudha Lagna, but at the same time, if the same Mars in the 3rd from Arudha Lagna can make somebody materialistic person, somebody who's selfish, that kind of image also can be given. But Jupiter is exalted in the Arudha Lagna. So the basic image is given by planets in the Arudha Lagna. So when you see the overall image of a person, you don't see it from one particular house. You look at the 3rd from Arudha Lagna, 6th from Arudha Lagna, 9th from Arudha Lagna, you look at all the houses and then you conclude what kind of composite image a person has. For example, look at Saturn. Saturn is in the 2nd from Arudha Lagna. Is it normally considered good or bad? It's considered bad. Parasara calls it a bad combination. What are the results of it? The person will be poor and not really selfish. The person will be poor, very poor and resourceless. Why? Saturn is the planet of depletion and he is in the house of resources. 2nd house is the house of resources. So the food of that person's image, 2nd house is the food of somebody's image, the resources that somebody is seen to have, somebody is perceived to have. If that house has Saturn in it, he is perceived to have no resources. His resource is austerity. Saturn shows austerity, Saturn shows discipline, Saturn shows depletion, Saturn shows lack of resources, lack of everything. Saturn stands for the lack of everything. And if the Saturn is in the house of food, house of resources of your image, you will be seen, your image will be that of somebody who has nothing with it.
That may not be the fact.
Pardon me?
That is just the image, but that's not the fact.
That may not be the fact. That is the image. So basically, if Saturn is in the 2nd from Arudha Lagna, in the case of a materialistic normal person, the result is he will be seen as a poor, impoverished person. If you see it in the chart of a saint, what it means is the person will be seen as a very austere person who doesn't care about material pursuits, who doesn't care about any resources, who impoverishes himself basically.
Resources are all downtrodden people.
His resources are downtrodden people, that is also possible. And his resources are monks, that is also possible. Saturn also shows monks. So Saturn in the 2nd from Arudha Lagna can show somebody whose resources are various monks. Now,
He is not well placed, right?
pardon me?
Saturn is not well placed. He is in the 7th house and then
Yeah.
in the 8th lord.
Right. Not 8th Lord, he is the 4th and 5th Lord, Yogakaraka.
From AL it is.
Yeah, but you don't look at house ownership from AL. You look at house ownership from the Lagna. So Saturn is basically a Yogakaraka. So if Yogakaraka, even though he is in inimical house, he is a Yogakaraka. So he will only give good results. So whether he is in the second from Aru Lagna, 12th from Aru Lagna, in the Aru Lagna, he will basically give good results. But relating to his nature. His nature is not that of giving lot of money. So he is seen as somebody who is very austere, very who doesn't go after material pursuits and who leads a very simple life. That is the image that he projects. Now let us look at his Navamsa. Navamsa is the chart of dharma. So let us see what do you see in the Navamsa. First of all, the planets in trines from Navamsa Lagna, they show the abilities of the person. So who are the planets here? In trines to Navamsa Lagna? Moon, Mercury and Saturn. Moon, Mercury and Saturn. They show the abilities of the person. What kind of abilities will Moon show? Yeah, so what? Pardon me?
Knowledge.
Well, knowledge is more like Jupiter or Mercury.
Passion. Love.
Compassion. Love for everybody. Peace, love, compassion. Those are the qualities given by Moon. Pardon me? Motherly qualities. Exactly. Moon is the natural significator for mother. So the qualities given by Moon are motherly qualities. Love, compassion. And especially if the same Moon, let's say, is debilitated or in Capricorn or some other house, there will be some modification. But where is Moon here? He is in very sattvic Pisces sign. The watery Jupiterian sign Pisces. So Moon in Pisces is very auspicious. He is very peaceful. So one of the abilities of this person will be, his ability will be, he will love peace. We are not talking about image here. We are talking about the real ability. His ability is he can love people. He can love people unconditionally. He has compassion for people's trouble. When somebody is hurt, he feels the pain. That is what Moon in a trine in Navamsa Lagna makes a person do. Now Mercury in Lagna, what does Mercury give? Jupiter gives wisdom and Mercury gives learning ability. Mercury is the natural learner. So he is the scholar basically of the zodiac. He is the scholar. He is the learned one. Jupiter is only a wise guy. But if you look at the words used in classics for various planets, Mercury is called Jna, which means the learned one. That's what it means, the one who knows. So Mercury is the knowledgeable person, not Jupiter. Jupiter is the wise person who has good discretion, good judgment. But when it comes to knowing various things, learning various things, understanding them and using them, it is Mercury. So he is a scholar basically. Mercury in Navamsa Lagna should tell you that he is a scholarly person. He is a scholar, he is a compassionate person who can love people. And Saturn in the 9th house from Aru Lagna. What does Saturn show? What are the abilities given by Saturn?
Patience and hard work.
Patience, hard work, discipline. You tell somebody to keep doing something million times, they can keep doing it million times. Whereas if you go to Mars and tell him, take this pen, put it here, put it back here, put it back here, put it back here, keep doing it for million times. If you tell Mars, he will just kill you and go away. He will not. He will find it a weird idea. Whereas if you tell that to Saturn, he will keep doing it.
Won't he find an automating the thing and finish it up?
Yeah, the Mars can do that also. Mars, if he is helped by Rahu and Ketu, he can do that also. But Shani, he is very patient. He will say, okay, is million enough or should I do it 2 million times? He will ask. That is Saturn. So the ability, and the problem is, Saturn is disappointed that people don't understand that such a good quality is very important in life. So he is forced to come and teach you. If you learn it nicely, he will not touch you. He will love you and he will give you only good results. Anyway, coming back to Saturn here, Saturn is in a trine. So again, this person has a lot of patience, he can work hard, he is very disciplined, he can lead a very austere life. Saturn is also the planet of austerity. Basically, Saturn is a significator of monks. So he can live like a monk. So these are the basic abilities of the person. And if you want to see the overall dharma of the person, what you can do is look at the 9th lord of the Rashi chart and see how he is placed in Navamsa. Is he placed in own sign or exaltation sign, or is he placed in an individual sign or friendly sign? So based on it, you can get a sense of how dharmic a person is. And here, how is Mercury placed? Yeah, there is a parivartana between Mercury and Mars. So Mercury basically, practically is exalted in the 11th house. Mercury gives the result of exaltation. So overall, he's a very dharmic person, and his Lagna, Navamsa Lagna, the Navamsa Lagna is the seat of your dharma. This is the most important chart when you are looking at spiritual people. And you can see that Lagna not only has a benefic in it, but it has Argala, not Argala, Kartari. It has Kartari from Jupiter, Venus and Ketu. If Lagna has planets on both the sides, you say that those planets are causing Kartari. Kartari means, literally what does it mean? Scissors. So just like scissors, if you put scissors across something, scissors will be enclosing both the sides. Similarly, any planets on both the sides of Lagna are said to have Kartari. You can say this for all houses. If any house has two malefics on both the sides, it has Papa Kartari. That is an inauspicious combination. And those two planets on 2 or 3 or 4 planets on both the sides of the sign, they behave as if they are in that sign, and they can basically hammer that sign. On the other hand, if there are two or more benefics on both the sides of a house, they cause Shubhakartari Yoga, and it is as if they are occupying that house and blessing it. And here the inherent nature of the planets is important. And here, is Ketu a benefic? No. Well, for the purpose of dharma. We are looking at dharma.
He is in the 12th house.
Yes. He is in the 12th house of moksha. So,
Venus, Jupiter are good.
Venus and Jupiter are of course benefic, and Ketu is also practically benefic here. So those planets, those 3 planets are causing Shubhakartari Yoga on Navamsa Lagna. So that is an auspicious combination. It shows that another important thing is Jupiter and Ketu are very important planets when you are talking about parampara. And if you see great spiritual people or great people who are keeping certain kind of lineage alive, you will see the influence of Jupiter or Ketu or both on the Lagna or the Pakalagna of the person, either in Rashi or Navamsa or Dashamsa. That is something that you very commonly see. There will be a strong influence of Jupiter and Ketu on Lagna. Such people will grow certain paramparas, certain lineages of knowledge or certain lineages, either mostly in knowledge. If you are talking about Navamsa or Dashamsa, you are talking about a parampara like a Jyotish parampara or a religious parampara rather than just a family.
Both together or just...
They can be together, they can be aspecting it, but the influence of those 2 planets should be there on Lagna or Lagna Lord. That is an important combination for continuing a particular lineage. For example, take Sanjay Ji's chart. Pandit Sanjay Raj, astrologer, my guru. You see that he has Pisces Lagna containing Jupiter in it, and Ketu is in the 10th house and he is aspecting it. And if you look at his Dashamsa also, you will see that Jupiter is in Lagna and Ketu is in the 9th house, in a Jupiterian house. For example, if you see my chart, I don't really have Jupiter and Ketu aspecting Lagna, but I have a Kartari. My Lagna is Virgo, and Jupiter is in the 2nd house, Ketu is in the 12th house. They have a Kartari on the Lagna. So you will see that people who get into some paramparas and who grow them, you will see some strong influence of Jupiter and Ketu on Lagna or Lagna Lord, either in Rashi or Navamsa or Dashamsa.
When you said that Jupiter and Ketu come in your case,
that is in Rashi chart, yeah.
Okay. Do you treat it as a malefic, more malefic influence or more benefic influence in that case when Ketu is on one side and Jupiter on the other side?
Well, it depends on the purpose that you are seeing this for. If you are seeing this for, let's say, continuing a Jyotish parampara, continuing an astrological tradition, then Jupiter and Ketu are both very benefic planets. If you are seeing it for the purpose of marriage, again, marriage and growing the family, again it is a benefic planet. If you are seeing it for some kind of career, success or something, then Ketu is a malefic planet. So the nature of Ketu changes based on what you are looking at. But again, Rasi is not that important. I said that Jupiter and Ketu have a Katari on my Lagna, but that is a secondary factor. That is, like I said, Rasi is less important than Navamsa, Dashamsa, all these charts. But if you see my Dashamsa, Jupiter and Ketu are together in the 5th house, and they are affecting the Dashamsa Lagna in my case. So that is again another factor showing that I may carry a particular lineage forward. And if you see people who actually carry various lineages forward, either in religion or some kind of tradition, it can be religion, it can be astrology, it can be some dance, some classical dance knowledge, any subject where there is a master-disciple succession happening for many generations. If somebody is carrying it forward, then Ketu is the Karaka for such a thing, for the Parampara. And if the knowledge that we are talking about is also Vedic knowledge, or very knowledge of God, knowledge of Brahman, then Jupiter will also be involved. And here Jupiter and Ketu have Katri and Navamsa Lagna, so he was involved with a particular lineage, the lineage of Peter.
Mars is Gurukrpa.
Yes.
And Yetu is also
Atmakaraka.
Yeah. That is a good combination. Atmakaraka and Vargotma is good. But this Parivartana is spoiling the effect of Atmakaraka as Vargotma actually. The Parivartana in the Navamsa. Between Lagna and Gains. Let us see his Dashamsa.
Vargotma we see only in Navamsa, no other.
Mainly only in Navamsa.
Mercury and
Yes, there is a Parivartana between Mercury and Mars in both. Yes.
one question.
So 7th and 12th houses, the house of giving up, the house of moksha, and the house of desire. There is a speech between the two, which is interesting. But let us not make any comments. Yes, sure.
Is Ketu always involved when you said the after Ketu?
I'm not talking about Katris. Ketu doesn't have to be involved. Any planet. For example, Shani and Rahu, let us say, are in the 2nd and 12th house from Lagna. That is Papakatri Yoga. That is a bad yoga. But what I said is, Katri are just aspect. Either way, if Ketu and Jupiter have an aspect on Lagna, or Katri on Lagna, or both occupy Lagna, then that is a good combination for carrying something forward, carrying a lineage forward. So Ketu is the Karaka for lineage. Okay? And as far as Katri is concerned, any planet can cause Katri. You may have Mercury and Venus causing Katri on somebody's 4th house. Let us say Venus is in the 3rd house and Mercury is in the 5th house. So if you look at the 4th house, Mercury and Venus are on both the sides of the 4th house. So they have a Shubhakattar Yoga on 4th house. So such a person will be blessed with lot of comfort, lot of vehicles, nice houses. So that is how you look at Kattaris, either Shubha or Ashubha. For example, let us say Venus and Ketu were having Kattari on the 4th house. Then you can't say that, oh, there is a Shubhakattari, so he will have lot of comfort, because Ketu is not a planet of comfort.
And he may be carrying the lineage of some.
Not necessarily. Because carrying something, whether it is relating to entertainment or Vedic knowledge, it is from Lagna only. That is the seat of your intelligence. So if you want to see whether somebody is carrying a tradition of astrology or classical dance forward, still you look at Lagna. And still you look at Ketu, the Karaka for Parampara. But the other planet will be Jupiter if you are looking at Jyotish tradition. If you are looking at carrying forward a music tradition, it will be Moon or Venus or somebody else. Okay? Now, you had a question? Okay, everybody is done. So let us look at his Dashamsa. We saw how to use the Dashamsa deity, right? Look at what are the strong influences on Lagna. Let us look at Arudha Lagna later. First look at Lagna. Is there a Raj Yoga in Lagna? Venus and Ketu, are they giving any Raj Yoga? Which houses does Venus own? 12th house and 7th house. Which houses does Ketu own? Lagna. So Lagna Lord and 7th Lord are together in Lagna. That's a Raj Yoga. Lagna is a trine as well as a quadrant, and 7th house is a quadrant. So there is a Raj Yoga between Venus and Ketu in Lagna. But what kind of Raj Yoga is it? Now we are not talking about image, we are talking about the basic nature of the person. As far as his karma is concerned, as far as his work is concerned. Dashamsa is the chart of work of the person. And Lagna is the inherent nature, the basic nature, the real nature, the true nature. Arudha Lagna is the perceived nature. This is the true nature of the person as far as work is concerned. That is influenced by Venus and Ketu, who are giving Tapasya Yoga in the Rashi chart. So you see that the Tapasya that he does has something, is related to the work that he is doing. There is a link between the two charts. But what Amsha is Venus and Ketu? What Amsha are Venus and Ketu in? Which Amsha? Which deity? Out of the Dasha Ishana, Rahu, Ketu, Venus, all the 3 planets on the Lagna axis are in Ishana Samsha. What is the result of this? We saw some other religious people in the past and we saw planets in the Ishana Samsha. What does Ishana show, we said?
Moksha.
Not moksha.
Ishana is Ishvara.
Yeah, it's an auspicious form of Shiva. Ishana Sarva Vidyanam, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. So he gives all knowledge, wisdom, etc. See, I'll refresh you again. If you start from the eastern direction, Indra, he rules the east direction, and he shows power, authority. Then Agneya, southeastern direction, that is Agni. If a planet is in Agni's Dashamsa, what does it show? What does Agni stand for? Transforming something, creating something. So those people can be engineers, they can be legislators. They are involved with creating things by transforming things. Because Agni transforms things. He transforms rice grain into edible rice, for example. He transforms. Agni is the transformer. So the next one is, after Agni, southern direction is ruled by Yama. So planets in Yama's Dashamsa, what do they show? Yama is Dharma. He follows Dharma. So very beautiful, sincere following of Dharma, impassionate and sincere upholding of Dharma. Examples are soldiers, police officers, some law enforcement people, quality assurance people in the case of software, people who enforce Dharma, who enforce rules strictly without any passion. That is Yama. The next direction is southwestern direction. That is Nirati, ruled by the Demoness, Nirati. And Nirati shows, on the first, let us cover the positive side. On the positive side, it covers overcoming the boundaries and reaching the uncharted territories. So this is totally path-breaking research kind of stuff. Path-breaking works, revolutions, and also underground, underworld, mafia kind of work. That is what Nirati shows. Then the next direction is west, and that is ruled by Varuna. What does Varuna show? Patience, dealing with a lot of people. So this is good for business, public relations, etc. That is what Varuna shows. And the next direction is the northwestern direction, ruled by Vayu. Vayavya, ruled by Vayu. So what does that show? Vayu is the god of force. The god of wind is the god of force. So Vayu shows empowering people, or showing one's power. You can show your power and destroy everything, or you can use the power and enrich people, give power to people. So this is dealing with strength in the society, exerting strength, gaining strength, giving strength to downtrodden parts of the society. That is Vayu. And finally, not finally, we have covered the 8 two-dimensional directions. The rulers of these directions are called Ashtadikpalakas. There are 2 other 3-dimensional directions, up and down. The downward direction is ruled by Brahma. And what does it show? Just like the downward direction shows, digging, digging, digging. The Rajasic activity of digging, digging, digging and organizing things. So planets in Brahma's Dashamsa, they show researchers who with discipline keep digging, systematically do certain activities to come up with some results. So this is very systematic and organized research. And this is also organizational work. Because Brahma also organizes this whole world. He plans this whole world. So Brahma can also show planning, organization, putting all the things in place, etc.
We didn't cover north and northeast.
We didn't cover north and northeast? Okay, north is Kubera. And Kubera show? Oh yeah, you are right. After northwest we stop. So north is ruled by Kubera. Of course, he is an important god. He shows resourcefulness. He shows money. So if you see somebody having several planets, several important planets in Kubera's Dashamsa, you can conclude that for that person, money is the most important thing. Whatever karma they do, money is the guiding factor, not transforming the society or empowering the society or causing or creating compassion in the society, which is Varuna. So all these qualities are less important for him. The criterion that such a person uses in work is money. If you give him $10,000 more, he will send to that job. That's all that matters to that person. So Kubera is money, and north and northeast direction is ruled by Ishana. Ishana is opposite of Niriti. Niriti is godlessness and not conforming to the tradition, and Ishana is conforming to tradition, religiousness. That is what Ishana shows. So if you see planets in Ishana's Dashamsa, they show a lot of religiousness, following the tradition very sincerely. And now Brahma shows organizing things. Finally Ananta, who rules the Urdhva Disha, which is the upward direction. He shows spiritual rise. So planets in Ananta's Dashamsa, they show spiritual rise. They show understanding self and rising spiritually. And you should note the difference between Ishana and Ananta. Ishana is religiousness and Ananta is spirituality. They are not the same. If you look at some people like Ramana Maharshi, you will see that, or even Swami Jayendra Saraswati, if you see their charts, you will see that there are important planets in both Ishana's Dashamsa as well as Ananta's Dashamsa. So they are very religious people who conform to tradition. At the same time, they are free thinkers and they are spiritually very advanced people. So you will see examples where both the factors are finding a representation, Ishana and Ananta. But you will also see some charts where Ishana is dominating and there are no planets with Ananta's influence. So what it means is such people are very religious people who conform to tradition. But when it comes to spiritual rise, that is not really what they focus their karma on. That is not their focus. And I don't want to make a judgment on which is more important. But if you want to see somebody who will get moksha, definitely Ananta is more important than Ishana. But both are needed. Even Niriti is needed in the world. But here, Lagna is occupied by 3 planets, including one Lord of Lagna, who are occupying Ishana's Dashamsa. So, looking at this, can you conclude that this is a religious person? Yeah. If you look at such a chart, even if you don't know this is Pope John Paul's chart, you can conclude that this is some kind of priest or somebody. That should be clear when you see so many planets in Lagna occupying Ishana Samsa. Now let us look at Arudha Lagna.
But you said Anantamsa is one that will make the person more religious.
No, not religious. Somebody with, let's say somebody has the 9th Lord of Rashi chart, the 10th Lord of Rashi chart, the Lagna Lord of Rashi chart, the 5th Lord of Rashi chart. Let us say all of them are occupying Ananta Samsa. Or let's say 12th Lord of Rashi chart, he is also in Ananta Samsa. He will be a great spiritual person. But he may not go to temple at all. If you think that going to temple is what gives you moksha or makes you spiritual, that is a mistaken notion. I'm not saying don't go to temple. It is a step. It is a step in the right direction. Definitely better than going to a casino or going to other places. But the thing is, religion and spirituality are different. Spirituality is discovering the God around and discovering the God with him. And just going to a temple and praying to an idol need not make you really truly realize the God who fills the whole universe and fills yourself. To understand that God, you don't have to go to temple. You don't have to do puja every day. You don't have to light a lamp every day. You don't have to do Gayatri Mantra every day. It can help, but you don't have to. Somebody without doing all that may realize the God. So Ananta is important for realizing the God, for spiritual rise. But Ishana is important for following the tradition, conforming to tradition. You don't care, you don't want to spiritually rise. You are happy. There is a nice idol of Goddess Mahalakshmi. You pray to her every day. You fall at her feet. You are happy. That is also good. You may not get moksha, but you are on the right path, and that is also a good thing. So that is the difference between Ishana and Ananta. Ananta is free thinking and spiritual rise, and Ishana is conforming to tradition and following the traditional rules and getting religious knowledge.
Which yoga will be our Lagna Lord and the seventh Lord in Lagna?
Yeah.
Is kind of yoga?
It's a Raj Yoga.
Name of it, no?
There's no special name. No, he's asking because first and ninth is called Lakshmi Yoga, ninth and tenth is called Dharma Karmadhipati Yoga. So he's wondering if there's a special name for that. There may be. But I don't know. But what it basically shows is, 7th house is the house of desire and 1st house is the house of your existence. So your existence is driven by some desires. You have some desires and your existence is driven by those desires as far as your work is concerned. That is what the 7th Lord and 1st Lord combination in Lagna shows. And here, because those planets are governed by, are controlled by the deity Ishana, all those desires and all the work is related to studying religion and making people religious, making people fear God, making people love God. Now, if you look at the Arudha Lagna, that is the image of the person. Arudha Lagna is the status and image of the person. Look at the planets there. Now, looking at the Lagna, you know that this is some kind of priest. Now, looking at Arudha Lagna, can you say that this will be a very powerful priest? Or this will be a normal priest? Arudha Lagna has, who does it have? Lagna Lord Mars and 10th Lord Sun. So there are two important Kendra Lords, quadrant Lords in Arudha Lagna. And moreover, both of the planets are planets of politics. Sun and Mars are the Karakas of politics, right? And especially Sun is the Karaka for power, influence, authority. And such Sun and Mars are in Arudha Lagna. So, does the person have the image of somebody who is very powerful, who is like a king? Does he have that kind of image? Yes. Yes.
Rajaguru type.
Right. Not exactly Rajaguru. He has the image of a king as far as this Dashamsa is concerned. He is some kind of leader. When you see Sun or Mars in Arudha Lagna, he will be seen as some kind of leader. It may be leader of Jyotishis, it may be leader of religious people, it may be leader of monks. But leader. On the other hand, if the same Arudha Lagna has Saturn, he will have the image of a servant. And here he has the image of a leader. And that too there is a Raj Yoga between Mars and Sun. I don't know if you noticed it. Lagna Lord and 10th Lord. Again a trine Lord Mars and a quadrant Lord Sun. They are giving a Raj Yoga. So when there is a Raj Yoga also happening in Arudha Lagna, that is very auspicious. And look at the Amshas occupied by those planets. Brahma, Sun in Brahma Samsa. Brahma shows Sun is the planeter. Sun is the Karaka for power, and he is in Brahma Samsa. What does it show? And he is also the 10th Lord here, showing the karma, showing the overall career and work of the person. And he is in Brahma Samsa. So what kind of work does he do? Organizing things, planning out things, breaking down things, planning, etc. So that is what Sun shows here. And what does Mars show? The Lagna Lord Mars, he is in Arudha Lagna and he is in Indra Samsa. What does it show? Power. If any planet is in Indra Samsa and if he is associated with either Lagna or Arudha Lagna or Ghatika Lagna, that person will have lot of power. And here Mars is the Lagna Lord. He is the Ghatika Lagna Lord. He is the planet in Arudha Lagna. So Mars is joining all the three factors. Ghatika Lagna, the source of your power. Lagna, your entire existence. Arudha Lagna, your status, your perceived self. So all the three factors, Lagna, Ghatika Lagna GL and Arudha Lagna are associated with Mars, and that Mars is in Dashamsa. So looking at this, can you conclude that this will be somebody very powerful? A very powerful priest. Of course, you can't say that this will be a cardinal or archdiocese of Boston or a pope or something. You can't say that, you can't get that kind of accuracy. But you can say one thing for sure. This is a very powerful person, very powerful priest. Now, when is this likely to happen? When is he likely to become pope? Before looking at the dasha, take a guess. Which dasha will make him? Mars or Sun. Perfect guess. Either Mars or Sun, because those are the planets in Arudha Lagna. So they will be the two planets who will make this person pope. Do you see that happening? When will he become pope? Okay, another standard type of case.
No, I called him actually.
Okay.
98, 1998.
No, 80, no, not 26 years ago.
1978 October, 16 I think. In 1978 October, he ascended to the papal throne. He became the pope. Now, which dasha was running then? Which dasha? Saturn dasha. Honestly, do you expect that Saturn would give this result?
No.
He is the dispositor of Sun and Mars, so maybe. But it's not really a clear-cut case. You would have normally expected Mars or maybe Sun. You would have expected Saturn. Now, is Vimshottari dasha the right dasha in this chart? Is Vimshottari dasha the right dasha in this chart?
No.
Why? Lagna Lord Venus is in the 7th house. So let us go to Dvisaptati Samadasha. Dvisaptati Samadasha. Yes. So it's even more powerful. But Rashi is enough.
But you only see the Rashi, right?
You only see the Rashi. You only see the Rashi. But the thing is, I have seen in some cases where, let us say, Rashi has, let's say, the Lagna Lord is 7th house. But let us say D24 has Sun in Lagna. If you use Shashtihayani Dasha just for seeing educational matters, you get good results. You see what I am saying? Though it is technically applicable only in the Rashi chart, you can look at divisional charts and see if a different conditional Dasha applies. If it applies, you can try that. I have seen that giving better results in some cases. I don't have any clear-cut rules as yet on this particular matter. But one thing I can say with certainty is, if you see the same condition applying in Rashi as well as another divisional chart, definitely that is the best dasha as far as that divisional chart is concerned. Now look at what dasha was running when he became pope. 1978 October. So that was Mars Venus. And like we discussed earlier, Mars is the Lagna Lord, Ghatika Lagna Lord, and he is in Arudha Lagna, giving a Rajyoga in Arudha Lagna, and he is in Indra's Dashamsa. So he made this person very powerful during his dasha. Okay. So what I want you to do is go to the Vatican site, www.vatican.va, and get his life history, get his entire biography, and use the Dvisaptati Samadasha. Don't use any other dasha. Just use Dvisaptati Samadasha and maybe Narayan Dasha of Rashi chart, and look at his life events, when his mother passed away, when his brother passed away, when his father passed away, when he became a priest, when he became a cardinal, and try to explain all the events and take that homework. Because I don't want to take up the whole class. I want you to take up only half the class on this chart. So I will move on to the mundane astrology. But take this chart, and if you go to that site, like I said, Vatican.va, there is a link for Holy Father. If you click that link, they have biographies of various popes from the last century, and you can click on Pope John Paul II. They added it last night. I was doing some research on the old popes when they died, and then suddenly the page changed. There was another entry added. So click on Pope John Paul II and get his biography. Vatican.va. It's not a commercial. Vatican.va. VA is the name of the state. It's a city state of Vatican. Okay?
Raman Maharishi chart, he said Havasya Yoga is there, right?
Raman Maharishi, I am not sure, but Chandrasekhar Saraswati.
Oh, okay. No, I'm looking at it. I don't see tapasvi.
I don't think it does. But the thing is, if you check Ramana Maharshi's chart, you will see planets on the Lagna or Lagna Lord axis occupying Ishana's Dashamsa, just like here. You have Venus and Ketu.
Ananta, three of them also.
No, Ishana, only Ananta.
Ishana is there.
He has both in Ishana and Ananta.
Yes.
Ananta shows, like I said, spiritual rise, and Ishana shows conforming to religious tradition and following rules of the tradition and following religion. Here you don't see a single planet in Ananta's Dashamsa, but Ishana is very strong. So this is a religious person, not a spiritual person.
So I was looking for a tapasvi yoga.
Okay. Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati, that is what I was saying. He has tapasvi yoga, very similar, but he has tapasvi yoga in Kama Trikona, and Swami Chandrasekhara Saraswati has in Moksha Trikona.
So Saturn, Venus, and
Ketu either together or in mutual trines. Okay, with that I will end discussion on this chart. We will discuss it again next week, but do your homework, try to explain, at least take 10 different events and explain minimum of 10 events for each person, okay? Let's just maintain 10 seconds of silence. Now we were discussing mundane astrology in the last class. We were talking about the lunar New Year chart, the solar New Year chart, etc. And we were going to look at US and India's New Year charts for the coming year. So let me open a new chart. So let us say, shall we start with Washington first? Let us start with Washington DC, because that's where we are. We are in US. Yeah, we didn't really look at it in detail, so we just got a sense.
Next one we can see.
Next year, we saw it and we weren't happy. Yeah.
it is not good.
So let us say, instead of previous, I'll say next, the next lunar New Year. So the new lunar New Year at Washington comes on April 8, 2005 at 16:32:36. It is 4:32:36 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, Washington DC, District of Columbia. Now, if you look at this chart, overall, is it a good chart or not a really pretty chart? Look at the strength of Lagna and Lagna Lord. Lagna is Leo and Lagna Lord Sun is in the 8th house. For me? Lot of what? Lot of activity in the 8th house. Lot of changes and upheavals in the country during the year. Lot of tension and anxiety in the country also. And Sun, he is at 25 degrees. Sun and Moon are at 25 degrees. And Rahu and Ketu are in the last degree. And Rahu and Ketu are, when a planet is in the last degree of a watery sign, basically, like I said in the last class, it's in a Gandanta. The border between water and fire is called Gandanta. The one Navamsa on this side and one Navamsa on this side are very inauspicious. Especially the last degree is very inauspicious. So Rahu is in Gandanta, Ketu is in Gandanta. So such a Gandanta Rahu is very closely afflicting Sun and Moon, the luminaries, the Lagna Lord and Moon. So that is inauspicious. And what are the other influences on Sun?
Venus.
He is with Mercury, but he is far apart, and Venus is very close by. So normally when Venus is with Sun and Moon, it is Venus who becomes weak.
But in this case, it's Rahu.
Here, Rahu is with Venus. So will Venus be weak or strong? Venus will actually be strong. And Sun and Moon will be weakened by Venus. Especially Sun will be, now Venus will fight back with Sun. And who does Venus show here? He, ninth Lord? Third Lord and 10th Lord. So the 10th Lord Venus, he is strong and he is fighting Lagna Lord Sun. So basically the rulership The king of the country or the administration of the country is like Venus here. So they will be very passionate like Venus, and they will compromise the ideals of the country, because Lagna is your character. Lagna Lord shows the character of the country, and that Lagna Lord is being compromised by Venus. Sun is being defeated, not really a Graha Yuddha, but he is being defeated by Venus with the help of Kanna and Rahu. So the country's ideals and principles may be compromised by very passionate administration during this year. But one thing is, administration will be very passionate, will continue to be passionate. Last year also it was Leo that was rising with Sun in the 8th house, and then also 10th Lord was Venus, and here also we have the 10th Lord being Venus.
Actually, you're saying because Venus is involved.
Venus is the planet of passion. When 10th Lord is Venus, the administration will be very passionate during the year. Now Venus is not exactly, there can be diplomacy also because Venus is with Rahu. We'll come to that later from Navamsa. But overall the administration will be very passionate, very Venusian. If you see, for example, 9th Lord being Venus, the judiciary in the country during that year can be very passionate. Now, see, Moon is compassionate and Venus is passionate. There is a difference between Moon and Venus. Venus, when he wants something, he feels strongly about it and he wants to do it. And Moon, when he feels strongly about it, he doesn't feel strongly about anything. That's the great thing about Moon. If you look at Moon, he doesn't have any enemies in the planet, in the planetary cabinet. Everybody is either a friend or a neutral. He doesn't have any strong opinions in any matter. He is very easygoing. He is very fun-loving, very relaxed always. No pressures, whether he is in Shuklapaksha or Krishnapaksha, no pressures, very easygoing. That is Moon. So he is very compassionate. He doesn't feel strongly about anything, but when he sees any sadness or any unhappiness in the world, he feels unhappy about it. He feels a little disturbed. That is Moon. But Venus is the planet of compassion. Those two, often thought to be similar planets, are poles apart, Moon and Venus. Let us look at the Navamsa. Bless you. Let us look at the Navamsa. So we said that, we looked at this in the last class. We said that Venus and Rahu are in the 7th house of relations with foreign countries. So we said that there will be more diplomacy during the year. That is one thing we said. And how about the financial situation of the country? What is the chart you see for financial position? The D2 chart, the Hora chart. So if you look at the D2 chart, how is the financial position of the country?
Second house of resources.
Pardon me?
Let us see second house.
Yeah, second house is the house of resources. So the second Lord Sun is, he's in the 9th house. It's a good placement. Unlike in the Rashi chart, in the Hora chart. Yes. The second Lord Sun is in the 9th house, but he is afflicted by Badhaka Venus. He is afflicted by 8th Lord Rahu. Actually, both Moon and Sun, the Lagna Lord and second Lord, are afflicted by Rahu and Venus. So overall, financially, this year will not be a great year. But this may be better than the last year. And how do you see the political activity in the country? The politics, the wrangling between various parties, that you see from the chart known as Dashamsa, D10. In the case of a normal person, D10 is the chart of his activities, his karma. In the case of a country, this is the chart of the political activity within the country. So how will be the political activity within the country? What are the important combinations you see? There is a parivartana between Mars and Jupiter, 2nd and 10th lords.
So resources and total activity is both behind together.
The activity and the resources. There is a parivartana between Mars and Jupiter. Mars is the planet of aggression and Jupiter is the planet of peace. So there is a parivartana between them. So
So our chart is not matching, the Samsa.
it's not matching.
What you have and what I have here.
Okay.
What is the Lagna is of? Time, what is the time?
Okay, one second. Do you have Washington DC? Do you have this data matching here?
No.
What?
Are you in D10 or D2?
He has got Glasgow in Hampshire.
He's got what?
Glasgow in Hampshire.
Ah, Rashi will match. It will change by a few degrees, and that's enough to change the Dashamsa Lagna and Navamsa Lagna.
Yeah.
Okay, you are all set now?
No, Mars is maybe put Venus there. Bring up what is the
Okay, I'll get it.
Okay, get it. You should get the same thing because you are using the same software. If it's in the border case, then there can be some settings that are different. I'm using something, you are using something. But for Lagna, there are actually no settings. If you see Ghadika Lagna off, maybe we are using different sunrise. But for Lagna, we should get the same thing. Unless we are using different dynamsas.
Other than that, but I thought for political activity at the highest level,
Yeah.
if you look at solar-based charts, it will be more appropriate.
Yes. That will be more appropriate. But from this, you can draw some conclusions. But that will be more appropriate, absolutely. So here, you see Jupiter and Mars. So as far as all the activity in the society is concerned, this is not just political activity. There can be a lot of media coverage of various things. So everything together, the political activity, the media activity, all of these together, there will be certain things that will be on the minds of people. And those you see from this Dashamsa. Dashamsa is the overall activity within the society. And here the focus is on the society. Even though that focus has been set by the big politicians, let's say George Bush, all the big leaders, let us say, they say social security there will be changes in social security. Or they say we'll have a law against abortion, we'll have a law against this, we'll have a law against immigration. So when they say this is what our focus is going to be, what they say, how the leaders set the focus of the country, you see from the solar New Year charts like we discussed in the earlier class. And from this chart, this is the lunar New Year chart. This shows things from people's perspective. Moon is people, sun is the king. So this shows things from the people's perspective. So what this shows is when big leaders say this is our focus, what are people thinking about it? What is the whole society, how is the whole society acting on those matters? So if you want a complete picture of what's happening in the society, you should mix all these various charts. You can't draw full conclusions based on just one chart. But you can use any one of these charts and get a good sense of what is happening. And if you look at the 10th house, Jupiter and Mars are the planets involved with the 10th house. So the main focus as far as the activity in the society is concerned during this year, it will be Jupiterian matters and Martian matters. So Mars will show war, Jupiter will show religious matters, all these right-wing agenda. And what about the social security changes? What should we see for seeing all the proposed social security changes?
Saturn related to this?
Yes, Saturn is the planet of downtrodden of the society. For me?
Even for the old age.
Old age people is also shown by Saturn. And Saturn is in Lagna.
It is the 12th house.
Pardon me?
He is Lord of the 12th house.
Yeah, he is the Lord of 12th house, but he is in Lagna. Saturn is in Lagna, along with Ketu. Saturn and Ketu are in Lagna. So will you conclude that this is the focus of the activities in the society will be relating to Saturn and Ketu, will be relating to the downtrodden in the society. But will the policies of this government be good during this year for the downtrodden people or not? To see that, basically, what you have to do is, you take Saturn as Lagna, because Saturn is the downtrodden of the society. So take Saturn as Lagna and see how various planets are placed. How strong is Saturn? How many planets are cooperating with Saturn and how many planets are not cooperating with Saturn? So for that, one thing you can do is look at Ashtaka-varga. There is something known as Ashtaka-varga which we haven't done so far. But what this shows is, what Ashtaka-varga shows is, it shows you take various houses from various planets. Instead of taking houses from Lagna alone or from Moon, you take houses from various planets. The second house from Saturn is the resources of the downtrodden in the society. The third house from Saturn is the initiative of the downtrodden in the society. The 10th house from Saturn is the karma of the downtrodden in the society. So like that you can see various houses from Saturn. Similarly, you can look from Jupiter. The second house from Jupiter is the wealth of the religious and learned people of the society. Religious and wise people of the society. The third house from Mars is the initiative of the police force and military force in the society. Like that you can look at various karakas, various planets, and you look for various houses from the planets. And if you see the scores here, they will go from 0 to 8. 0 means terrible, 8 means super, and 4 means average. So you can look at, and this analysis applies not only to countries, but it applies to individual people. You can look at houses from, for example, Jupiter in your own chart. What it shows is, Jupiter within you shows your wisdom. So various houses from the wisdom show various attributes of that wisdom. The dharma being followed by your wisdom. The increase in your wisdom during a year. The initiative shown by your wisdom in controlling other parts of your existence. So like that you can see, or let's say moon. Moon shows your happiness, your peace, internal peace. So you can look at various houses from moon. You can look at Mercury. Mercury is your learning ability. In this chart, Mercury shows intelligentsia of the country. But in an individual chart, Mercury shows the learning ability within you. So if you see various houses from the learning ability, you will see how strong various aspects of your learning ability are during the year. So if you see Saturn,
So how did this score come up then? I mean,
there are rules based on where various planets are. They will be beneficial to various houses from Saturn. When Jupiter and Saturn are together, for example, it may be bad. When Jupiter is in the 12th from Saturn, it may be good. So there are various positions given. So looking at that particular planet as Lagna and seeing where various planets are, you say the second from Saturn, Jupiter and Mercury are favorable, others are unfavorable. The third from Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, Moon and Sun are favorable, others are unfavorable. So counting how many are favorable in those signs, you come up with these scores. And these scores are indicative of the strength of those houses from that planet. And if you want the overall strength, you combine all these and come up with something known as Sarva Ashtaka Varga. You combine the scores in all the 8 Ashtaka Vargas. There are 8 Ashtaka Vargas, 8 charts that you make. They are called Bhinna Ashtaka Vargas. Individual 8-based group. Ashtaka Varga means 8-based group because there are 8 differences you are looking at. Lagna and the 7 planets. Those are the 8 differences. And you are taking houses from each of the 8 differences. And the overall second house is the second house from Lagna, the second house from Sun, the second house from Moon, the second house from Saturn. If all those are strong, the overall second house is strong. The country's wealth is good if the downtrodden are wealthy during the year, if the judges and lawyers are wealthy, if the policemen are wealthy, if the politicians are wealthy, if everybody is wealthy. If you combine the wealth of everybody, that is the country's wealth. If you combine everybody's initiative, that is the country's initiative. So the score here will show, the score in the Sarvastika Varga is a combination of all the individual Ashtaka Vargas. But let us focus on Saturn for a moment, because we are talking about, yeah. Look at various houses. And I am looking at Dashamsa? I want to look at Dashamsa. I want to look at the policies of the government, the internal policies, not the foreign policy. Foreign policy is from Navamsa. The domestic policy of the government and its impact on the society. That is what I want to see. The very fact that Saturn and Ketu are in Lagna shows the people shown by Saturn and Ketu being the focus of the country's policy during this year. Lot of debate about those. That is what it shows. Whether it is good for them or bad, the policies are good for them or bad, is from the Ashtaka Varga. So look at Saturn. Saturn is in, see the sign that is highlighted here is the sign that contains Saturn. So that counting houses is easy, I just highlight that sign in the software. So which house is very strong? What are the strongest houses? 6th house and 11th house. So the houses of gains is strong and the houses of overcoming obstacles is strong. So during this year, the masses, the low paying masses of the society, low paying workers of the society, they will have to work very hard. But when they work hard, they will have some gains to make also. And what is the weakest house from Saturn? The second house of resources. So what does it mean? Will they accumulate lot of money? They may be making more money. 11th house is what you get, but the second house is what your bank balance is. That is the second house. 11th house is the paycheck that you are getting, the gains. But you may be spending that. What you are accumulating in your bank balance is from the second house. That is one. That is dismally poor. So
This is the country, right? That means this
the poor of the country.
it represents the whole.
No. We are looking at Saturn now.
Oh, I see.
We are not looking at the country. We are looking purely from Saturn. So we are looking at people shown by Saturn in the country. So that is the downtrodden people, the labor, the blue collar. So the blue collar workers will not be, their bank balances will be, they will continue to be dismal during this year, unfortunately. Let us look at Jupiter. Who does Jupiter show?
Prime Minister,
Judiciary.
The judiciary and also the religious wing, the right wing of the society, right? Teachers, judiciary and the right wing. So those are shown by Jupiter. So look at Jupiter is in Scorpio. What is the strongest house? Third house. Bravery, initiative. So the judiciary will be very active, and the right wing, the religious wing, will also be extremely active and very bold during this year. And if you look at, for example, and you will see that all the scores overall are very strong for Jupiter. Always above average. So similarly, if you look at the downtrodden of the society, whatever you take belonging to them, it will be usually of a small magnitude. And if you take the well-off people like judges and the wise people, the people who are considered wise in the society, they are the upper stratum of the society. And usually everything comes in abundance for them, whether it is 6th house or 7th house or 8th house. So if you combine all the 12 scores, for Jupiter it is a higher score than Saturn, and that is reflective of the hierarchy in the society. Let us look at Venus. What does Venus show? Entertainers of the society. So how is
which planet represents the middle class? Is it Mercury?
Moon. Moon is the middle class masses. So if you look at Venus, Saturn is the lowly mass, blue color, downtrodden mass. So let us look at Venus. Yeah. Then those are their colors. Saturn has blue color, so blue color. Moon is white in color, so he's white color. Yellow color. Because he does a lot of puja in the temple, his clothes are yellow. Okay. Venus. Now look at Venus. What are the houses what is the strongest house from Venus? The 11th house of gains. Entertainment industry will have lot of gains. The second strongest house is 10th house of work. They will have lot of work to do. They are not out of work. On the other hand, look at this poor Saturn. How is the 10th house from Saturn? Pretty weak. It has only a score of 2, which is dismal. So lot of unemployment basically. Still lot of people who really need employment may be out of employment.
Probably we should go for acting. More jobs.
Here the money, resources.
Yeah, their wealth is poor, their karma is, their job is poor. They don't have a good job, they don't have a good bank balance. And these guys, they have lot of wealth, 6 is high. They have lot of wealth, they keep getting lot of money, they keep getting unbelievable amount of money during the year, and lot of it will actually be left also. It's not spent. So there will be lot of profit, and they have lot of work to do. They have hardly any obstacles to overcome.
No lot of effort.
But 8th house is not really obstacles. 6th house is the house of obstacles. 8th house is the house of anxiety. So they have lot of anxiety.
So basically the downtrodden people will see more movies. Because you're out of work, you'll see one more experience. Absolutely more work to do. That is the rule, right? Any year. Running back, if you see more movies. Anything is
No, you are not doing astrology. Look at the political class of the society during this year. How is the political class? Sun is the political class. The politicians, the rulers.
9th, 10th, 11th houses are very strong. Third house is strong.
So what houses are the strongest? Several houses.
Third house is also. Third is also strong. Fifth
Yeah.
is also strong.
Third and sixth show bravery and overcoming obstacles. So political class will be very brave. Nobody will basically give up. Everybody will pitch in their own vision, and there will be lot of bitter fighting. Then third and sixth are strong from Sun. There will be lot of political fighting during that year. And the 9th, 10th and 11th are also important houses. Those are the following dharma, having some work to do and gains to make. So all of them are strong for them. So
However, they don't have over the cure and everything. Because
yeah,
the
the second house is weak. So the political classes, as far as increasing their wealth is concerned, is not really a great year.
The 12th house is weak.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
They won't give you anything.
They will not be giving it. There will not be any compromises. If you see important bills being introduced in the year, if you want to see the chances of compromise between various parties and important things being done, 12th is the house of compromise, and 12th house is second. So both the parties, and third is strong. Third and sixth are strong. The houses of initiative and fighting, and the house of compromise is weak. So during this year, the political classes will not be willing to make any compromise. Everybody will stick to their guns. So whoever wants to change social security will say this is the thing to do. Whoever wants to stop it will say no, this is bad. Similarly, other issues. So there will be lot of fighting and lot of deadlock politically during this year. Of course, there will be some laws being passed, but basically there will be little compromise that you will see. So that is the little harmony in the political establishment. So like this, you can look at various parts of the society and draw conclusions. We looked at just Dashamsa. We looked at just the impact on various parts of the society due to the work of the society or due to the policies of the government. That is what we have seen. Whether the downtrodden will actually be employed or not is not clear. But the policies of the government will be to stop the employment of downtrodden, to stop the wealth of downtrodden, to stop the benefit of downtrodden. And the policies of the government will be such that the entertainment industry can accumulate lot of money and will be very busy. So all that we have analyzed is from Dashamsa Ashtavarga. So this is strictly the impact of the policies of the government. And if you want to see the
to signify the same classes every year, or
they signify same class. Yeah.
it's not that like.
The Vashadhipati, Masadhipati, you are talking about
Or like,
there is a planetary
somebody
cabinet.
is king, somebody is.
That is cabinet. We are not talking about cabinet here. We are talking about the various layers of the society, various parts of the society. So there you use natural karkatva.
And using this Dharma Astakavarka.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? Like,
Let us,
it looks the same.
instead of looking at Dashamsa, let us just look at Rashi. Because Rashi is the overall thing. Based on foreign policy, based on financial, fiscal policy, based on domestic policy, based on all the various policies of the government. What is the overall impact on various parts of the society? So let us look at the Rashi chart. And before looking at the Rashi chart, actually let's just forget everything. Let's look at Rashi chart. So if you look at the Rashi chart Ashtaka Varga, let us go to this window so that you can see better. Okay. Look at the Ashtaka Varga of Rashi chart. So what is the house that is the strongest in the Rashi chart? That shows the overall focus of the society. 8 house is not strong. 8 house is weak.
Number of planets.
Number of planets wise, but Ashtaka Varga wise, what is the house that is dominating?
Capricorn is very strong. 6th house.
6th house is the strongest house. When you see a score above 40, you should really focus on that house. There is something important going on with that house.
Why did you highlight that Leo in Lagna?
I could have, I just didn't.
No, but also that's of combination everything. Yeah, but still there is a Lagna.
Still there is a Lagna. I have highlighted Lagna. Okay.
So you look at the Lagna chart.
Yeah, 1 second.
So hoping to modify yourself.
Okay, this is the right one to use. The default is not. Consolidate, this is what I prefer. Okay. So now look at the, sorry. So, for me? There are there is an option. What this does is, when you find the Sarva Ashtaka Varga, what some people do is, if you want the strength of Capricorn, they just add the scores in Capricorn, in all the Ashtaka Vargas, and then they put the score in the Capricorn. That is the standard approach. And the other approach that is available in the software and that I prefer is, you consolidate the scores in various houses. For example, if you want the score in, let us say, Leo, or it's not exactly Leo, it's first house. If you want the score in first house, you look at first house from Lagna, first house from Sun, first house from Moon, first house from Mars. You look at all the scores in the first houses, add them up. Then you get the overall strength of the first house for the entire country. So,
It's kind of Bhava.
it's Bhava rather than Rashi. So, when you do that, the Bhava that is dominating is 8th house. This is what I was expecting. I was looking at the 8th house. I was thinking that the 8th house would be strong. So this is extremely strong. It has a score of 37. So what does it mean?
Exactly.
If the 8th house is strong for a country, 8th and 12th houses are strong, 6th, 8th and 12th, that is bad. Such a year will be the year of obstacles and lot of anxiety. You can apply this to your own annual charts also. In your annual Tipravesha chart, if you see that 6th, 8th and 12th are strong during a year, that will be a year of lot of problems. On the other hand, if you see 9th, 10th and 11th being very strong, that will be a year of lot of auspicious happenings. You follow your dharma, you have lot of work to do. 9, 10 and 11.
Auspicious and gains and
What in the society?
That is basically auspicious. It will be a good year. And if you see 6th, 8th and 12th together having a higher score, it will be an inauspicious year. A year of running around. Basically. So if you look here, the 6th house has 25, not great but okay. The 12th house has 24, but 8th house is really strong. This is the strongest house. So this will be a year of anxiety and changes. What did you say? Instability. Instability, changes and anxiety. So that is the first thing. And second thing, financially how will it be? Will this be a year of lot of wealth accumulation in the country? Average. Financially it is average. And now let us look at various parts of the society like we did earlier. Look from Shani, the downtrodden of the society. Again look for wealth from here. We saw that the government policies are not conducive to blue collar people accumulating wealth during the year. And we see that on the ground also, looking at Rashi chart, actually blue collar people are not accumulating wealth. Because the second house from Saturn is having a score of 1, which is dismally poor. And
they are very bored.
pardon me? But they will be very bored. So there will be lot of all the unions, etc. They will not sit idle during this year. They will fight. Actually, they may not fight that much because 6th is not strong. But they will show lot of initiative. So there will be lot of noise, but it may finally not really result in substantial action. But there will be lot of hue and cry from the unions about the impact of the government policies on the blue collar workers.
There are a lot of anxiety.
Lot of anxiety, lot of instability in life because 8th house is very strong. And on the contrary, 10th house is very poor. 10th and 11th houses are very poor. So they will not have any gains. They will not have much gains and they will not have much work to do. So that is the downtrodden of the society. Look at the entertainers. Entertainment. They will accumulate lot of money. They will gain lot of money. 11th and 2nd are strong. But 10th is not very strong here. In the Dashamsa it is strong. It has a score of 8. But in the Rashi chart it is not strong. So that means entertainment industry during this year, they will make lot of money, but as far as the work is concerned, the work will slow down a little bit. But the government will come up with policies which will be beneficial to the entertainment industry in the coming years.
Now, how do you distinguish both? Dasam is
Rasi is what is on the ground, what is happening in the ground. And Dashamsa is the impact of the various policies of the government for that part of the society. And if you look at Jupiter, if you look from Jupiter, the third house is extremely strong. So in Dashamsa and Rasi again we see the same indication. So the judiciary will be very active during this year, extremely super active. And the religious right wing also will be very active during the year. And they will they follow their dharma well? The house of dharma is weak. It has a score of 3. So they will not be able to actually do justice to their dharma. The judiciary will not be able to do genuine justice. But they will be very, very bold and brave and not afraid of anything. And they will be, for some reason, there will be a lot of changes in the judiciary also. See, 8th house has a score of 7. So in the religious right wing or in the judiciary during the year, there will be a lot of changes. For example, there can be a lot of new judges appointed, things like that. There is a lot of change happening. Because why I said change is, the sign is Aries, that is the sign of change also. And it is 8th house.
I think government also, government sign.
Yes. So a lot of new judges may be appointed during this year.
5th house is also strong.
Yeah, 5th house is strong. 5th house is the house of abilities and following. So judiciary will be very capable during this year, but they will not be able to follow their dharma. They will have the ability, they will have the fire, but they will do some adharma. And what about the middle classes? Somebody asked about middle classes. 3rd house of initiative. Middle house will have a lot of initiative. Again, lot of anxiety. And will they spend a lot of money? They will actually hold on to their money. Middle class spending will be very low during the year because the score is 1 here.
So the economy will be bad.
That is not good for economy. Usually middle class should be spending money. And what about the military? Military and police force.
Lagna is strong, 7.
The strongest house are Lagna and 7th house. So Lagna is your very existence. So because Lagna, the Mars has a score of 7 in the sign he occupies, this year
They will be wars and fighting.
they will be very active. The focus of the society will be on them. The focus of the society will be on Mars and who is stronger. Perhaps Jupiter, Moon and Ascendant. So nobody is really the strong. They are the strong. So the focus of the society will be on Mars. And their focus will be on their own very existence and also 8th house, anxiety. So military will continue to be anxious. 7th house is the house of anxiety. They will continue to be anxious. Sorry, 8th house. 8th house is the house of anxiety. So they will continue to be anxious, and they will continue to be lot of changes on the military front during the year. And how will be the morale of the military? How do you judge the morale of the military during the year? Look at Mars Varga. Sukha, okay. Sukha is not really morale. Sukha is 2nd house. Sorry, Sukha has a score of 2. The 4th house from Mars in Mars Varga has a score of 2. So they will not have lot of comfort. Well, if you are in the war zone, you will not really have a lot of comfort. But the thing is, what about the morale? Morale is from their initiative. The 3rd and 6th house are very important for the morale of Mars. Because those are initiative and bravery and your fighting spirit. How are they? They are weak. 6th house has a score of 3. So you will be fighting but not that much. And the bravery, this is the initiative, the overall seed of all your activity as far as Mars is concerned. That is 1. So no initiative. So military's morale will be very, very, very poor during this year, unfortunately. Dharma. Why dharma? Yes. Dharma is very weak. Military will not be able to follow his dharma well. And when I say it's dharma, what is military's dharma? To fight. and fight justly. Either they will not be able to fight well or they will not be able to fight justly. That may be because they don't have the initiative during the year. So there will be some, yes.
On the moon, when we look at the 11th house is strong.
Yeah. So
11th house there is not spending.
yeah.
What is happening to that money? Because second house, so they are not accumulating. Why is the 2 and 12 weak and 11th is strong?
If you expect the 11th house, whatever comes in the 11th house to go either into 12th house or second house, if you expect the numbers to match up, it will never happen. What it means is, the middle class will not be very wealthy during the year, but they will be making a lot of money. For their status, they will be making a lot of money, and they will be just holding on to that money.
They want to accumulate. They are not spending it. They are not spending it. They
Yeah.
are overspending.
If they are not spending, they are accumulating it. But they are not wealthy. Second house is not just wealth, it is basically resources. So they will be making more money than the last year, and they will not feel comfortable spending it, so they will keep it in their bank balance, but they will not feel resourceful. They will not be resourceful. Just because you have money in the bank doesn't mean you have a lot of resources and you can do whatever you want to do. Second house is not just wealth. It is the house of resourcefulness. So they will not have the resources to do what they want to do. For example, I may want to do a particular thing. I may want to start a particular organization or start a company. And I may have the money, but I may not want to do it. So second house is resources. It's not just money, it's resources and using the resources for karma. It is the seed of Artha Trikona. It is the seed of your karma. So whatever money people are making will not be used for the karma of the society. It will be just kept away. So they are not resourceful during the year.
That's why in the Mars, but you see the 11th house, there's only one that means that they are the military or they have.
Where? 11th house?
Yeah, Mars.
Military is not making a lot of money.
Not the money, but in this case, the military is the winnings or gains.
Yeah.
That you look at it, or
That is also. Gains again is not just money. Gains is the overall gains that you make. So if the military is in a war, if the military conducts a successful election in Iraq, and if the military has finishes a particular objective, if the military goes into Iran and destroys their nuclear power plant, let us say, that is a gain for the military. Gain is fulfilling your desire. 11th house, you have to remember that it's not money. 11th house is the culmination point of Kama Trikona, the trines of desires. So that is fulfilling your desires. So what it means is the military will not be able to fulfill their desires during this year. For example, they may ask for certain equipment, they may not get it. They may ask for being discharged from their duty, they may not get it. So all these things. So overall, this is not a great year for military. There will be a lot of changes in the military also, because you see a score of 7 in the 8th house from Mars, in Mars Ashtavarga. So as far as military or police force in the country are concerned, there will be a lot of changes during the year, lot of instability. So you can see some changes at the top also. So like this you see, and we'll quickly look at India's chart and then leave.
back to metal.
Yeah. Oops. Let us see. Actually, I'm just curious. Quickly London, because they are going to have elections. Let's look at Britain, United Kingdom. Pardon me?
London, very
Oh. I have to fix that. So there are, it finds all the matches that have, so I should make sure that London comes up first. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look at their next lunar new year chart. Again, it is April 8, 2005. It is, the time is 9:30 to 36 p.m. and all I want to do is, no, just the Rasi chart, see the Ashtavarga. So their Lagna is, they have Lagna in Libra. So are they doing well during this year?
Not really. 8 house is strong.
Forget the 8th house. Where are all the planets? In the house of overcoming obstacles. And how is Lagna Lord? Is he strong or weak? Because Lagna Lord is the...
Yeah, he's very strong.
Why is he strong?
So he's with Rahu.
Yeah, he's exalted.
And then
Yeah.
he's controlling the luminary sign. Yeah, he's strong. He's strong in 6th house, so he's helping them overcome this.
Okay. But you are missing the fact that he's in Manakaraka Sthana.
Oh, Venus in 6th house.
For Venus, 6th house is bad. So Venus is in Manakaraka Sthana. So Lagna Lord is in Manakaraka Sthana. It's not pretty. Okay, let's go back to India. I'm just curious to see how they are. Let us see India. There is no what?
There's no daylight saving.
Yeah. I hope they don't introduce it. It will make the software job so difficult. Okay, India's New Year starts on April 9, 2005 at 2:36 a.m. at New Delhi. So if you look at this chart, how is this chart? Is this strong or weak? First let us look at the overall society and then financial aspects. First of all, is Lagna strong or weak? Why is Lagna strong? Lagna Lord is in an Upajaya in the 6th house. Is 6th house a good house for Saturn? Yeah. For a malefic, 3rd, 6th and 11th are the only good houses. And Lagna Lord is in the 6th house, a house of growth, Upajaya, 6th house. So, Lagna Lord is well placed. Is Lagna strong? Lagna Lord is strong. Is Lagna strong? Yeah, it has an exalted planet. It has no problem with that particular planet. Mars is the planet of Kali Yuga. Lagna is a sign of Kali Yuga. Both are happy with each other. So that's good. What about which house is really dominating? Let us look at the Ashtaka Varga. Which house is dominating? 8th house is dominating. 8th house is the strongest house. So will there be a lot of anxiety in India also during this year? Lot of changes and anxiety? Yes, there will be. This is based on power. So, but Lagna is also strong. And the house of gains is almost as strong. So India will have lot of hard work during this year, lot of changes, instability during this year. But India will make lot of gains during this year. Okay? And the 1st house and 5th house are very strong. Anything above 30 is strong. So, if trines are strong, that is a blessing. I said earlier that 9, 10 and 11 having good scores is good. Similarly, if trines are strong, that is because trines are the houses of blessing. If you see the combined score in the trine being very strong compared to the combined score in the sthana, that is a good year. So here, the 1st house and the 5th house are strong. So overall, if the 1st house is strong, overall is good for the country. And 5th house strong meaning country will be very capable during this year. The country's cumulative ability during this year will be good. How are the finances? Look at the Hora chart, Kasinath Hora chart. That is the chart that shows financial position of the country. How is this chart? For finances, what are the houses important? 1st, 2nd and 11th. Of course, several houses are important, but these are the main houses. 2nd is the house of wealth, 11th is the house of gain, 1st is the house of entire being, very existence. So, Lagna has a score of 31, 2nd house has a score of 31, the house of initiative is very strong with a score of 33, the house of changes is strong, the house of gains is strong. So, overall, again, what we have to remember is 8th house can be good or bad. 8th house is basically a lot of changes. It can be good or bad. And the 8th Lord Sun is in the 3rd house here. So 8th house is actually not that bad. The 8th Lord is in another Dusthana, giving a Viparit Rajoga. So 8th house is a favorable house, but there will be lot of beneficial changes for India, and there will be lot of initiative in financial matters. And India will accumulate lot of wealth, lot of foreign exchange, etc. And India will fulfill its desires. And overall, the foundation of India's financial activities during this year. The foundation will be strong. So overall, financially, this is a good year for India. How is the political activity? How are the foreign relations of India? Okay. Lagna has sun and moon. So what is India's attitude during this year? Sun and moon. What does it show? Sun is the planet, sun is king. And moon is the planet of compassion. So it will be a mixture of compassion and authority. So India will assert itself more. But in a nice and compassionate way, not in a rude way. Because it is sun and moon in Lagna. Pardon me? Not in a martial way. And how will the world perceive India's foreign relations during this year? World's perceptions will be from AS, Arudha Lagna. And Arudha Lagna is in Libra, a sign of a balanced sign. So the world will perceive India's foreign relations as very balanced and very mature. And pardon me? Lagna, what? Yeah. Forget Arudha Lagna Lord. From Lagna he is Yogakarka. Venus is Yogakarka from Lagna. He is the exalted Yogakarka giving a great Rajoga. Why? Rahu is Lagna Lord. Venus is 9th and 4th Lord. So their conjunction 4th and 9th Lord Venus and Lagna Lord Rahu being together is a great Rajoga. So from Arudha Lagna, if you see, those planets being in the 6th, Venus being in the 6th gives very sadhu-like image. Rahu being in the 6th gives very demonic image. So it's a mixture. So India will be neither too stubborn with other countries, nor too easygoing and too soft on other countries. They will mix the two approaches, and it will be a very balanced approach during the year. So foreign policy wise, this is a good year for India. India will have very mature and very well thought out foreign policy during this year.
So there is a 7th house Lord in Lagna.
Yeah. 7th house Lord Lagna Lord in 7th house is good for relationships. Yeah. Lagna Lord in the 7th house means you will be attached to your wife. 7th Lord in Lagna means wife will be attached to you. So here, pardon me?
Not in my case.
Oh, where is your Lagna Lord?
No. 7th house Lord is my practice.
Okay. But that is the standard combination. Yeah. Here, 7th Lord is in Lagna. Is it in Navamsa or Rashi? Okay. But even if it is not wife, it can be usually people that you associate with, they may be fond of you. That is what it shows. So, Lagna Lord is, Rashi is in the physical plane, not just, Navamsa is the dharmic plane. So it is wife and other dharmic associates. Rashi is overall all the people that you meet, all the people that you associate with. So most of the people that you, not most, but many of the people that you associate with, they may be fond of you. That is what 7th Lord being in Lagna shows. So here, in the Navamsa, the 7th Lord is in Rashi. So 7th Lord is in Lagna. So other countries will be more interested in India than in the past. So interest in India, in the international interest in India will be increasing during this year. That is what you can conclude from this Navamsa chart. Just as a contrast, let us do a small exercise. Just as a contrast to see, I'm guessing that if you look at that year, it will show up badly. Let's say June 1st, 1998 Vajpayee came into power. 1998 they had this nuclear, no, I'm looking at the nuclear test after which India was like, yeah, June 1998. I'll say previous Lunar New Year chart. So if you look at the Lunar New Year on March 28, 1998 at 8:44:11 a.m. at New Delhi. This is the New Year that lasted from March 98 to March 1999. So during this year, India had problems with other countries. India was, because of the nuclear testing that India did, US and other countries, they basically stopped their interaction with India, and India was seen as a very bold and brave and that kind of country, very selfish kind of country. Now, if you look at the Aruha Lagna in this particular case, the Aruha Lagna is in Taurus, though it is a Venusian sign, it's not a balanced sign. What are the indications of Taurus? Like a bull. Taurus basically means Vrashabha, a bull. Like a bull, very steady. Bull is basically steady, does not listen to anybody. Very steady and also very hardworking. Very hardworking, very focused. Those are the qualities of bull. And if Aruha Lagna is in Vrashabha, the person's image will be somebody who believes in something and just does it without caring about anybody else. Somebody who is very steadfast. So that is the image India projected in the world during that particular year. And how are the third and sixth? What are the planets aspecting them? Third house is aspected by moon and sun also, but if you look at sixth and third, there are two planets, there are two planets who aspect both. Who are they? Mars and Ketu. Right? Yeah. Mars and Ketu are together and they are aspecting Cancer and Libra, the third and sixth from Aruha Lagna. And Rahu is aspecting the sixth from Aruha Lagna. So is India seen as a very bold, headless kind of country in its foreign policies during this year, very aggressive country in its foreign policies? Will the world perceive India as a ruthless power rather than a very balanced, mature country? Naturally. And also a country that follows its own vision with steadfastness without looking at what other countries want. And if you look at if you look at the overall strength of Lagna, again Lagna Lord Saturn is in an Upsaya. Lagna Lord Saturn is in third house. And he is with sixth Lord Mercury, sixth and ninth Lord Mercury and Jupiter. And how is Jupiter here? How is Jupiter placed? Is it a good placement for Jupiter? Manakaraka Sthana. Pardon me? He is in one house, but he is in Manakaraka Sthana. If a planet is in Manakaraka Sthana, what did we say earlier? The houses owned by it are destroyed. The results of those houses are destroyed. Because, what was the reasoning we gave? Because this particular house, the Manakaraka Sthana, is a bad house for that planet. It does not know how to do justice to that house. So when it is placed in that house, it focuses all its energies to doing justice to that matter.
But in this case, it's in his own house, so...
We'll come to that. First, let us say Jupiter is in Manakaraka Sthana in some other, and he owns some other houses. Then the idea is, he is in the house of bravery, and Jupiter doesn't know how to give bravery. So when you ask Jupiter to give bravery, he works overtime on that, and other responsibilities he has to ignore. So they suffer. Similarly, if you tell Venus to make somebody a brahmachari, if you place Venus in the sixth house and tell him to make that person a brahmachari, Venus has to work hard, work overtime on that, and then other responsibilities of Venus will suffer. Similarly, you tell Mars, get them married. Mars doesn't know how to make them fall in love and get married. He only knows how to make them fight and remain brahmacharis. So when you put Mars in the seventh house, he has to work hard on that house. So other houses Mars owns suffer. They suffer. Similarly, Rahu in ninth house. You tell Rahu, take care of that person's dharma. Make sure that he does dharma. So Rahu will say, dharma, what is it? He has to go look up dictionary and find out what dharma is, then read encyclopedia and find out what dharma is, and then make the person follow his dharma. So he has to work over time to make the person follow dharma. So he will do some justice to dharma, but other responsibilities he has will be, they will take a back seat because he is working overtime on something. So if you are working overtime at your work, your domestic responsibilities at home will take a back seat, your wife and children. Similarly, so here Jupiter is in Manakaraka Sthana, but he is in his own house. So what it means is, he will work hard to give bravery to the country. And he will give bravery, but in the process, the other house owned by Jupiter will suffer. So if we see a planet in Manakaraka Sthana in one house, that house may be okay, but the other house that the planet owns will suffer. So what is that other house? 12th house. What is the 12th house? Compromise.
No compromise.
So house of compromise is compromise. So this is a year when it comes to foreign policy, India will have no compromise, and they will be so bold that their boldness is given by the planet of peace. When Jupiter gives bravery, that means there is nobody stopping you. When Jupiter is given the responsibility of making you brave, there is nobody making you restraining you. So at a true level also, India was very brave during this year, and the world perceived India as a brave country. But world perceived India's bravery in a very negative way, because Mars and Ketu are very negative planets. They are the planet of, Ketu is the planet of headlessness, and Mars is the planet of aggression. When they are together, it is meaningless and headless aggression. So the world sees they are in the 10th house of karma. So when it comes to foreign policy, the world perceives India as having done an aggressive and headless karma. Why did they do this stupid thing? The world will think. So that is what the world thinks. But, pardon me? From AL I am saying. They are in the 10th house of karma, and they are aspecting the 3rd house of bravery and 6th house of overcoming obstacles. So world will see those terms. They will see India is aggressive and headless. Now in contrast, if we go back to our original year, our current year, let's say June 1, 2005, and previous lunar new year. So it will come to the same April 9 to 236. So here, if you look at Arudha Lagna, the 12th from there has Mercury and Ketu, Karaka of 12th Ketu and Mercury. So India will be seen as and Mercury is Avakashvadi. Among all the planets, Mercury is the planet who is very flexible, who can adapt very well, opportunist. So if that opportunist and adaptive and flexible Mercury is in the house of compromise from Arudha Lagna. So India will be seen to be a country that will make a lot of compromises during this year, very mature and compromising country. And look at the house of karma. It has no planet, but it is owned and aspected by Moon. Moon owns Cancer and he aspects it. So even though other planets are aspecting Sun, Moon is the strong influence on 10th house. So Moon what kind of influence will it show? Compassionate. So India will be seen to engage in compassionate karma in the world during this year. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you see how US is seen, if you go back to the US chart, how is US seen during this year by the world? Arudha Lagna. Arudha Lagna has Mars, Jupiter and Saturn in it. So it is seen as Jupiter in Arudha Lagna will show a religious country. Mars will show an aggressive country. Saturn will show a disciplined, hard-working country, and also possibly a selfish country.
How bad in this case, in Jupiter and Mars together, Saturn is weak.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, Jupiter and Mars are together. So that will be the dominant influence. More than hard-working country, it is an aggressive and religious country. And if you look at,
Jupiter is also wisdom. Why would you say?
he's retrograde.
Or retrograde.
So I'm saying wisdom also, but he's retrograde and he's Bhaska here. From the Lagna, if you see what houses he owns. So from that you conclude whether he will give negative results or positive results. And even though he is 4th Lord also, he is also Bhaska Lord. So I'm concluding that overall it will be either neutral or negative results given by Jupiter. So such a Jupiter being in Lagna, being in Arudha Lagna, will give a slightly religious fanatic kind of image. If the same Jupiter was, let us say, a good planet, let us say he was the 5th and 8th Lord, Leo was the Lagna, so he is a benefit planet. So if that Jupiter is in Lagna, he will give the image of a very wise country, a country that has the right judgment and discretion. And in that case, retrogression is actually a secondary factor. Retrogression will show a strong desire behind what the country is doing. But because of the Bhaska influence, I conclude that it will be a negative result. So it will be US will be seen by the world as a slightly fanatical country as far as religiousness is concerned. That is because Rahu is aspecting Jupiter also. Jupiter is basically impure there. He has association with various malefic planets. And how about the compromise of US? Will US be seen as a country that compromises during the year? Yeah. The 12th house is not really that strong. 12th from Arudha Lagna is not really that strong. So US may not be seen as a country that will make some compromises, but the lot of that house goes into 10th house. He is exalted. So world will see some compromise from the US. World will perceive some compromise, but not a lot of compromise. And the 10th house has Venus and Rahu. So US will be seen to be engaging in what kind of karma? Lot of diplomacy, lot of behind the scenes, behind the curtains diplomacy. So that is what US will be seen by the world to be doing. On the other hand, if you see the current year, how was the Arudha Lagna in Navamsa? Let us see. So if I make the previous year, March 20, 2004, 1841-59, Washington DC. That is where the 2004-2005 New Year, the Tarana New Year, the new lunar year known as Tarana started. If you look at the Navamsa of this year, Arudha Lagna has Ketu in it. So basically the image is that of a headless country, a directionless country. And if you look at the 10th house is empty, but it is occupied by, it is aspected by Rahu. The 10th lord from Arudha Lagna, Jupiter, is with Rahu. He is afflicted by Rahu.
I thought you said we should not consider lords when we see the
No. If you see whether a planet is beneficial in a house or not, then you consider the houses from Lagna. You can't say Arudha Lagna is in Aquarius, so Venus is a Yokarka. And he is in Arudha Lagna, so he will give a good image. What you do is see how Venus is from Lagna. If Venus is a malefic from Lagna, if he is in Arudha Lagna, the negative natures of Venus will manifest. That will be the image. The country will be perceived to be very passionate in a negative way. On the other hand, if Venus is, let us say, Yogakaraka from Lagna and he is in Arudha Lagna, the country will be perceived to be a very diplomatic country during the year. So that is how, when you see Venus is in second house from Arudha Lagna, first house from Arudha Lagna, 10th house from Arudha Lagna, 9th house from Arudha Lagna, what are the results? If we give the negative results or the positive results, to see the functional nature of Venus or the planet in that particular house from Arudha Lagna, from Lagna. Okay? So to see the nature of the planet, see Lagna alone. But to see what kind of karma the country is perceived to be doing during the year, see the 10th from Arudha Lagna. And if there are no planets there, look at the Lord and aspecting planets. So Jupiter will show the kind of karma that the country is perceived to be doing. And now you can see what are the influences on Jupiter. Guru has Guru Chandal Yoga.
And even Sun is reflected.
Yeah, all of them, Sun, Moon and Jupiter are affected by Rahu. So the country is perceived to be doing stupid karma, doing meaningless karma, demonical karma by the world. This is just a perception. But is the country really doing such karma? Well, actually it is, because from Lagna, all these planets are in the 10th house. So actually it is the karma that the country is doing that is resulting in those perceptions of the world. There is a link between the perceptions of the world and the karma that the country is actually doing.
Ketu also aspecting.
Yeah, Ketu is also aspecting. Bottom line is, if you see Ketu in Arudha Lagna, there will be some headlessness in the image of that person or the country during that year. Okay? So with that I will end for today. Look at any interesting country, for example, Iraq or Iran, Syria. Look at any other countries that you have interest in. Look at various astrologies and see which houses are strong, how is Lagna and Lagna Lord. You can make pretty decent predictions overall for the important events of the country during that year. As an exercise, it may be interesting to look at Iraq's New Year chart when they had the war, and Afghanistan's New Year chart when they had the war. So try to look at those. And with that, we will end for today. And happy, yeah.
when we meet the outside workers, we were consulting all the houses and
Yeah.
there's no relation from the native Lagna, but not from Arada Lagna. There is no score of
No.
there is no overall score of how
No. You could do that, but you just look at it from Lagna.
Also, for example, Sanjay wants to work on which directions to sit. In that case, the power would make sense. I think it would just take basically the houses as they are the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Other aspect ones, because they are trying to find north, south.
That is, you are looking at the how. See again, whether you should look at signs or houses there is not really clear to me.
But I would get signs in that case because the direction was based on Bhutasva, Advikatva, Jalasatva, and Vajakatva.
Yeah, but there are also houses based on the Lagna also, because Lagna is the eastern direction. What is on the east when you are born? So Lagna shows the east, and the north direction is shown by 10th house. So houses also show directions, but those are not. They may not be physical directions. Those are at an abstract level. Those are abstract directions. On the other hand, the directions, the fixed directions shown by the sign, not bhava, sign, those are physical directions. So it may be more appropriate to consider those when you are looking for directions. Which direction should your kitchen be? Which direction should your office be? Which direction should your bathroom be, etc. in your house using Vastu? If you are doing that, if you are using Ashtavarga for the purpose of Vastu, the other Sarvashtavarga may be actually more appropriate. But I don't really have. In all honesty, I have seen Sanjay do some work on Ashtavarga and Vastu, but in all honesty, I'm not convinced that there is any research that is conclusive. In all honesty, I believe that there are some rules given in classics, but it needs much more exploration, in my judgment. So with that, I will end for today. For those who celebrate the New Year on April 8th, Happy Ugadi, Happy New Year, and we will meet the day after Ugadi. Oh.